Welcome to Daily Conversation. This is Mr. K.
This is Eric.
Yeah, today is the 16th of October 2021 and the time now is 6:15 a.m. Well, today is a reading session and we are going to continue reading the book Eat to Beat Disease. Alright, so before we get started, please click the like button and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Alright, so here we go. The healing power of stem cells. What we know about our body's stem cells goes back to atomic bomb. The nuclear annihilation of Hiroshima and Nagasaki killed an estimated 200,000 people in 1945, ending World War II. Doctors observed that some people who survived the initial blast later succumbed in a second wave of death because radiation exposure destroyed their body's ability to renew its own cells in the bone marrow. As governments made preparations for future nuclear wars, scientists went on the hunt for stem cells that could be used to treat and protect survivors from deadly radiation fallout. Two Canadian researchers, James Till and Ernest McCullough, showed in 1961 that stem cells were present in the bone, marrow, and spleen, and they could regenerate blood cells. Till and McCullough discovered that if injected in time, these stem cells could rescue lab animals exposed to lethal amounts of radiation.
Hugh and McCullough work led to the development of bone marrow transplantation, life-saving procedure now performed around the world to rescue cancer patients who are being treated with the harsh, harsh, harsher chemotherapies and highest doses of radiation. Although the chemo and radiations will kill cancer cells, they also demolish the healthy stem cells in the bone marrow. Without stem cells, the cancer patient's immune system crashes, and they can die of overwhelming infection. By transplanting stem cells taken from the bone marrow of the donor into the cancer patients, however, doctors can rescue patients from these certain deaths. The donor stem cells circulate into the patient's bone marrow and engraft themselves. They then reconstitute the immune system. These bone marrow transplantation techniques using donor stem cells was deemed a medical breakthrough. Its, pi- its pi- pioneer, its pioneer, E. Donald Thomas, won the 1990 Nobel Prize in Medicine of Physiology, along with kidney transplant pioneer Joseph Murray. But even without being damaged by chemotherapy or radiation exposure, the body needs its stem cells because they continuously rebuild the body from the inside out.
Yeah, the fourth line from the bottom, which is the name, the last second words. This one is Murray, and you pronounce it as Murray.
Murray
Among the 37.2 trillion cells in your body, stem cells make up a tiny but powerful subset, only 0.002%, which is capable of regenerating your health. Stem cells repair, replace, and regenerate dead and worn-out cells on demand. Like special forces soldiers in your body, they gather intelligence, conduct reconnaissance, and execute missions to keep organs in optimal shape. Whenever you suffer an injury or develop a disease, your stem cells swing into action to create new tissues that heal or help your body overcome the condition. This is your regenerative health defense system. And just like the angiogenesis system, the latest research is showing that your stem cells are powerfully influenced by diet.
Whether you are an athlete building your muscles or a pregnant mother building a fetus, someone is fighting the ravages of aging, the right foods can help boost the number and performance of the stem cells and their ability to regenerate your body. You can eat to protect your heart, keep your mind sharp, brain regenerative, heal your wounds, and keep your body in a youthful shape. I'm going to tell you about the foods that can help your stem cell health defenses in part 2. But first, I'm going to give you a primer on regeneration so you can see why eating the right foods might save your life.
Okay, the fourth line from the bottom is the second words from behind, which is youthful, and you pronounce as youngful.
Youthful.
Stem cells and injury. The regeneration's defense system is hardwired to be at the ready at any time to respond to injury or trauma. Adult stem cells remain unspecialized, lying in wait until they are needed and called into action. They can renew and replicate by cell division and still maintain their pluripotency when they're in mission mode. They sense their environment and use the cues around them as the instructions for turning into the exact type of cell that needs to be regenerated. If they find themselves in a lung, they become lung. If they find themselves in the liver, they become liver.
Trauma pronounced trauma. You pronounce trauma.
Mm. So it's like trauma or trauma. Yeah, I think it's the second syllabus should be more, right? The first syllabus I think is one for British and one for American, which is trauma and trauma or trauma. Is it?
Yes.
Yeah. So it's trauma.
The story of how stem cells accomplish these protective functions begins with where they live in an inactive, undifferentiated, and renewable state. They reside in special hideouts called niches, and niches are found in skin, along the walls and of intestines, at the base of hair follicles, intestines, and ovaries, in fats, in the heart and brains, and especially in bone marrow. The spongy material inside the hollow of our bones.
The bone marrow is a storage unit for at least 3 different types of stem cells. The hematopoietic stem cells, which is HSC, turn into blood-forming cells. Mesenchymal stromal cell, MSC, precursors form muscles, fat, cartilage, bone, and other non-blood elements. Endothelial progenitor cell, EPC, contribute to building new blood vessels in regenerating organs. Collectively, they are labeled bone marrow-derived mononuclear cells, BMNC, because they all reside in the bone marrow.
The second line, the third words, pronounced hematopoietic. You pronounce hematopoietic.
Oh, so the first syllabus is like here, is it?
The second should be mer. You can pronounce. I forget what you pronounce, but you pronounce like ma.
Okay, so is hematopoietic. Yeah, is it something like that? Okay.
When stem cells are called into actions, a body part that needs to be regenerated, a series of events takes place to bring the stem cell from their niches into the circulatory system. The stem cells in bone marrow are alerted by growth factor signals released by the organs in distress. Particular growth factors, vascular endothelial growth factors, VEGF, is a powerful stem cell activator. This distress signal reaches the bone marrow through blood vessels that penetrate bones. Once inside, these signals travel along a system of capillaries called sinusoidal channel within the marrow that floats the signal to stem cells attached to the channel walls. These stem cells interpret the signals as a chemical alert and respond accordingly. What starts as a distress call ends with uh, what starts as a distress call ends with swarms of stem cells flying like bees out of a hive from the bone marrow into the body's circulatory system. This important step in regenerating an injured part of your body is called stem cell mobilization.
Okay, let me see. 7, yeah, this is the 7th line, the last word. You pronounce as sinusoidal, and which is the first syllable should be sinusoidal.
Yes. Sinusoidal.
And then also 8, 9, the 9th line, which is the 6th word. Yeah, this is interpret, and you pronounce as interpret.
interpret. Yeah, so the stress is for on the second syllable.
Yeah, second, yeah.
Interpret.
What happens next is a powerful illustration of the cleverness of how stem cells are designed to act. Stem cells get to the front lines of injury quickly whenever there is an emergency. Carried in the shift current of the bloodstream and propelled the by the heart pumping action, stem cells use a biological homing device to locate the exact place in the organ that sent the distress call. Like a guided missile zeroing in on its target, the stem cell finds its landing spot. Proteins on the stem cells called receptors attach to proteins in the landing zone. They hook together like cellular velcro, ensuring that stem cells attach only to the site of injury. All this happens very quickly after the distress signal is sent. Research has shown, for example, that 48 hours after a surgeon has made an incision, there is a 14-fold increase in the number of endothelial progenitor cells in the circulatory system compared to before surgery. Because of the need for healing.
Once they've attached the landing zone, stem cells take stock of the organ environment in which they've landed. They execute their missions based on instructions given by their environment. If they're in skin, they become skin cells and respond in a way that meets the needs of skin. If in the heart, they become heart muscle cells, cardiomyocytes, and responds to the heart's needs. The stem cells do their job as part of a larger set of players after an injury. An entire disaster response team, including inflammatory, and other immune cells, blood vessel cells, and blood clotting cells, all show up with their own specific tasks performed.
Yeah, the the third line from the bottom. This is inflammatory. You pronounce as inflammatory.
Can you pronounce the right?
Oh, okay. Inflammatory. So the stress is on the second, inflammatory.
Yeah, why pronounce?
You pronounce as inflammatory.
In, okay, should change the stress
Inflammatory. The second stress, the second syllabus should be stress.
from which
From here.
I know. What?
Okay. Can you repeat? Hello.
Hello? Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hear you. What do you say? Hello.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. How I pronounce it?
Oh, you pronounce as inflammatory. You pronounce as inflammatory. Yeah, you pronounce the stress on the third syllables.
Okay.
Inflammatory. So it's inflammatory.
Okay. So change from the third to second, is it?
Yeah, right.
Inflammatory. Is it like this?
Yeah, good.
Inflammatory.
What stem cells do exactly once they are embedded in the injured tissue is still somewhat of a mystery. We know they differentiate into and regenerate the local tissue, but stem cells don't stick around for long. They last for only a few days at most. Scientists are working to document what actually happens to them. A couple of theories. The stem cells morph their appearance and disappear into the background, becoming indistinguishable from the normal tissue they are repairing. Or it is possible they play a vital but short-lived role, then die after their mission is complete.
What we do know is that stem cells are factories for proteins or growth factors, cytokines, and survival factors that are needed in organs that are growing or being repaired. They also can release special molecular containers called exosomes and microvasicles filled with a cargo of proteins and genetic information. When these are released in an organ, they instruct other cells on what to do next to fix the damage. Stem cells release this cargo to encourage other cells to help build a healthier neighborhood around the landing zone. This is called the paras the para the paracrine effect. One study examining bone regeneration shows that at least 43 growth factors can be released by stem cells that help improve the neighborhood of injured bones.
Okay, third line. And this one is molecular, and you pronounce as molecular.
Okay. Molecular.
And also the fourth line from the bottom, the last word. Yeah, this is paracrine, and you pronounce as paracrine.
Okay. Paracrine.
Some of the same growth factors involved in the stem cells response are the exact same ones that trigger angiogenesis. Linking these two health defense systems, when vascular endothelial growth factor is released by cells due to lack of oxygen, hypoxia, or by injury, for example, it triggers angiogenesis locally while farther away. In the bone marrow niche, stem cells become alerted by this factor. If a new mass of tissue is regenerated, it will need a fresh blood supply. Angiogenesis kicks in at these points and supplies the nourishment needed to support the regenerated tissue by forming new blood vessels. Conversely, stem cells also contribute to building new angiogenic blood vessels too. So it's a win-win relationship. Anyway, anywhere from 2 to 25% of cells in new blood vessels come from stem cells.
Causes of stem cell damage. As vital as our regenerative defense system is for good health and healing, our stem cells are highly vulnerable to common factors that assault our bodies throughout our lifespan. One of one of the most damaging is tobacco smoke. The oxygen the, the oxygen deficit that occurs when a smoker inhales cigarette smoke starts the recruitment of stem cells into the bloodstream. But habitual smoking eventually depletes the number of stem cells stored in the bone marrow, leaving fewer cells overall leaving few, leaving fewer cells overall available for regeneration and repair over time. Even worse, the remaining stem cells in smokers not function properly. Their ability to multiply themselves is reduced by as much as 80%, and their participation in regeneration is reduced by almost 40%. This compromises number and functions of stem cells help explain, beyond the direct damage smoking does to blood vessels, the increased risk of cardiovascular and lung disease in smokers.
Even if you don't smoke yourself, you are not safe if you are nearby those who do. Second-hand smoke can be almost as bad. Even as little as 30 minutes of exposure to tobacco smokes exhaled by someone else is enough to stun your stem cells. Not surprisingly, air pollution is similarly damaging. Researchers have found that in people living in communities with major air pollution problems, exposure to fine particulate matter during pollution flares lowers the number of endothelial progenitor cells in their blood.
Heavy drinking kills stem cells. Alcohol affects stem cells in a number of ways. Researchers studied monkeys who were given a small daily amount of alcohol to drink, and remarkably, they had more stem cells in their circulatory system than non-drinking monkeys. The stem cells of drinking monkeys, however, were impaired and less effective in their ability to take part in regeneration. Think of these as inebriated stem cells that have difficulty walking a straight line. Fetal alcohol syndrome is a disastrous consequence when pregnant women consume a lot of alcohol. The developing the, de- the developing fetus suffers permanent brain damage and growth abnormalities. Alcohol is toxic to fetal stem cells, so the devastation of, of fetal alcohol syndromes may be due, in part, to damaged stem cells, which indeed was found by researchers from Louis, Louisiana State University studying mouse models of fetal development. Being drinking delivers another blow to stem cell health. Researchers at the University of Kentucky found that binge drinking lowers the activity of brain stem cells called oligodendrocyte progenitors that are needed to make new neurons. The effect was especially pronounced in the brain's hippocampus region. This is the part of the brain responsible for building short and long-term memory. The good news here is that the damage was able to be reversed when drinking stopped.
Yeah. 9. Yeah, the ninth line, the fourth words from behind. This is devastation. Devastation, and you pronounce as the first syllables you pronounce as D, so it should be devastation.
Devastation.
We can avoid some risk to our stem cells by reducing our exposure to air pollution, tobacco, and alcohol. But some other risks are harder to avoid. Aging, for example, relentlessly wears down our ability to regenerate. As we get older, we naturally have fewer stem cells in our bone marrow. Not only do our reserves become depleted over time, but also the remaining stem cells are less active than they were during our younger years. High blood cholesterol also impairs stem cells' function, although not all cholesterol is equal. High-density lipoprotein (HDL), the good cholesterol, slows down the programmed cell death of endothelial progenitor cells. Dietary strategies that increase HDL are protective for these cells. This pays dividends for our health because endothelial progenitor cells can help prevent atherosclerosis, protect against the buildup of fatty plaque on the walls of blood vessels that reduces blood flow, and repair the lining of blood vessels. This kind of vascular protection by stem cells is yet another reason why HDL is considered good cholesterol.
Okay, the last fourth line,
Yeah.
the words you pronounce atherosclerosis, and it should be atherosclerosis.
Okay, atherosclerosis, atherosclerosis,
Atherosclerosis.
atherosclerosis.
Athero,
Sorry?
athero, no, ah,
Oh, atherosclerosis,
yeah, sclerosis.
sclerosis, atherosclerosis.
Ah,
Okay.
chronic diseases also can have a deleterious chronic disease. Chronic diseases also can have a deleterious effect of stem cells. Diabetes is a stem cell killer. People with diabetes have fewer stem cells, and the ones that exist are unable to do their job properly. High blood sugar is a problem. Stem cells exposed to a high sugar environment less capable of regenerating tissues. They can't multiply normally and make more of themselves, and they can't move around in the body very well. They are thus unable to properly participate in building new tissues. On top of that, the secret fewer survival factors than normal stem cells. Researchers have found that high blood sugar affects stem cells even in normal healthy adults who do not have diabetes. This is another reason to watch your sugar intake.
Stem cell damage is seen in both type 1 and type 2 diabetes. Type 1 diabetes is a disease in which the body's own immune system destroys the insulin-producing cells needed to properly control the metabolism. Metabolism of sugar. Type 2 diabetes, similarly, is a problem of blood sugar metabolism, but it is not caused by an autoimmune attack. Instead, due to genetic, an inactive lifestyle, or obesity, the body either stops responding properly to insulin or doesn't make enough insulin. A study from New York University showed that endothelial progenitor cells are compromised in their ability to grow by almost 50% in type 2 diabetes, with worse impairment if the individual's blood sugar levels were not under control. When researchers tested the performance of endothelial progenitor cells taken from people with diabetes in helping to form blood vessels, they were 2.5 times less likely to participate in the process than non-diabetic stem cells. A similar defect was found by researchers in the Netherlands studying stem cells impairment in type 1 diabetes.
The third line and the last it,
Oh,
and is it pronounced metabolism? We pronounce metabolism. So the second stress, the first stress is fall on the second syllabus, and second stress is fall on the second.
oh, yeah. Metabolism. Is it something like that? Metabolism. Metabolism. Okay, can you pronounce again?
Metabolism.
Metabolism. Metabolism. Is it correct?
Yeah, you pronounce metabolism.
Oh,
You pronounce
yeah. I only stress on the second, right? Without.
no,
I don't.
you only stress on yeah. You only stress on the second. You didn't stress on the last second.
Yeah.
Yeah, you pronounce metabolism.
Metabolism.
Yeah, this is what you pronounce.
So metabolism.
Yeah,
So,
this
oh,
should be correct.
okay, metabolism.
Stem cell crippling is a problem of gigantic proportions when you realize that diabetes is a pandemic that affects more than 422 million people worldwide and leads to 1.6 million deaths each year. Diabetes is the life cause of heart attack, stroke, blindness, kidney failure, chronic wounds, and disability caused by lower extremities amputations. These are all medical complications that are tied in one way or another to functional stem cells. Any method to protect or improve the performance of stem cells in diabetes, hyperlipidemia, and aging could be a lifesaver.
Peripheral vascular disease is a severe condition accompanying atherosclerosis and often occurs after long-standing diabetes. In this condition, the severe atherosclerotic narrowing, yeah,
Correct.
Narrow.
So the fourth one, the SCLE should be pronounced as
Scler.
in the phonics SKL SKLE. So it's scler.
Scler. Yeah. Sclerosis. Atherosclerosis. Atherosclerotic. Yeah, is it correct? All right. Are you checking or shall I continue?
You should continue.
Okay. In this condition, the severe sclerotic narrowing of the arteries chokes off the oxygen supply to the legs. This is a condition that gets worse over time, and blood flow to muscles, nerves, and skin of the leg becomes increasingly poor. The cells in the leg become oxygen-starved and eventually die, lead to skin breakdown and gaping wounds called ischemic leg ulcers. Because wound healing itself is already slow in diabetes, when ischemic leg ulcers occur in people with diabetes, infection can easily set in, leading to gangrene. Often, amputating the leg is needed to save the patient's life. Researchers at the University of Padova in Italy have studied circulating stem cells in patients with type 2 diabetes and peripheral vascular disease and compared them with healthy subjects without diabetes. Patients with diabetic vascular disease had 47% fewer stem cells, and those with the fewest stem cells also had ischemic foot ulcers, reflecting just how important stem cells are for wound regeneration and repair.
Lesson here is that good diabetes management is absolutely critical for protecting the regenerative defense system. Better blood sugar control leads to better stem cell health. By contrast, poor control of diabetes seriously impairs the function of your stem cell. Improving your blood sugar control can increase the number and improve the function of endothelial progenitor cells. So if you have diabetes, make sure you are on top of your game with blood sugar management. It could later it could literally save your life.
Benefits of boosting,
How about we stop it
yeah.
we stop it here and we continue next time.
All right. Okay, so how about I make a summary? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, do you want us to make a summary or just stop here?
No, make a summary.
Oh, okay. Okay, so for the part today, yeah, it is about regeneration, which is the second defense system. The first one is angiogenesis. Now is the second, and yeah, we know that stem cells in our body is actually, especially for adults, is just a very small proportion. Uh, is roughly equal to like 0.002%. However, it is very powerful in terms of repair, replace and also regenerate those dead and old cells. So yeah, also the stem cells is something like is kept in a few parts in our body, and especially they are in our bone marrow. Yeah, and then um, yeah, so this is basically stem cells, and then also we came across a part which is the causes of stem cells damages, and the authors line out a few things that can affect our stem cells, that can damage our stem cells, and one of it is the smokings. Yeah, the smokers, it is found that the stem cells in their body is not functioning properly, and then the stem cells uh, is not that effective in terms of regeneration. And also the next one is drinking alcohol. Yeah, for this one I think they mentioned about people who drink a lot alcohol, and then yeah, for those people, there are actually more stem cells in their circulatory system, uh, but the stem cells are less effective. And also, drinking can cause, I think is maybe I can call it uh, damage to our some part of our brain, which is called the brain hippocampus. Yeah, and however, this is not something irreversible. It can be it can be reversed if we stop drinking for a particular long time. And also next is diabetes. Yeah, diabetes also is a big problem for stem cells. Yeah, people have diabetes, their blood sugar uh, level is very high, and then this is not good for stem cells to working inside to multiply properly, and then also something like they couldn't move well, they couldn't move smoothly in our body. Yeah, in results, people with diabetes, they have fewer stem cells in their body. Yeah, and then because of this, we can found that for diabetic people, they have some problems with the wound healing, so their wound couldn't heal and recover quickly, and also in the bad scenario, it will lead to which is called the gangrene, which is they have to amputate maybe their leg or their hands so that to keep their life. Yeah, so so these are my summaries today.
Yeah, I could say a perfect summary. Yeah, I just go through one more time and see whether I can add in some more. Okay,
Mhm.
first about the stem cell. Yeah, the stem cell is just the mother of cell, and it can generate, repair, and also uh become become and make itself become the new organs, make itself become a new specialized cells. Yeah, and and in this reading section, we read about uh some some uh some damaging activities to stem cell. With the first one is the smoking, tobacco smoking. Yeah, and so tobacco smoking not only can hurt your lung, it also can hurt your stem cell. So we can see that the smoker not only have higher chance to get the lung cancer, and also have higher chance to get other disease, other illness. Yeah. So one of the reason is because their stem cell, the stem cell in their body have been damaged by the tobacco. Yeah. And the second is about the alcohol drinking. And the researchers did some experiments on the monkeys, and actually they found that if a constant volume or quantity of alcohol are given to the monkey every day, and actually the monkey, the stem cell in the monkey's bodies actually increase. Yeah. But at here first we're not sure how much volume they give to the monkey. Yeah, whether it's lots or it is a little. Yeah, we don't know the ml. We don't know how it's measured in milliliter. So we actually don't know how what's the volume. Yeah, and maybe it's little or maybe it's a lot. Okay, and if the experiments if in the experiments the alcohol volume is given a lot, yeah, really a lot, maybe 1 liter, like 500 ml, or even a high, or maybe like between 500 milliliter to 1 liter. And how about if we reduce the consumption, the intake, would it really like hurt the effectiveness of our stem cell? At the same time, it can also increase the volume, the quantity of stem cell. And in the first reading session, we actually know that like the beer, yeah, beer can, like, I'm not sure is like increase one of the five function. I'm not sure it's angiogenesis or stem cell or like the DNA protections, and remaining two. Yeah. So whether drinking alcohol is good for our body, still unknown. Yeah, still is an unknown case.
Yeah.
Because we don't know what's the volume in this ring section they didn't mention. Yeah. Yeah. So, and by drinking, it will paralyze our brains. And just now you mentioned the technical term, which is the hippocampus.
Yeah.
So, just like it affects your decisions when you are drunk. So when you are drunk, you couldn't make decision, you couldn't drive, you couldn't drive, you couldn't make good decisions. It just will paralyze your brain, and maybe the next day, yeah, affect by the by the alcohol. But maybe after 1 week or after 2 weeks, all the alcohol in your body have released. So the effect to your hippocampus no longer exists. Yeah, so it can be reversible after you quit, after you stop drinking the alcohol. And the next one is the diabetes. Yeah, diabetes. And technically, we should mention about the blood sugar, the high blood sugar. And because the researchers not only found that stem cell is less effective for diabetic people, and also it is also less effective in the healthy but high sugar levels person.
Yeah.
High sugar, so the blood sugar management is critical. Yeah, and if you have high blood sugar and your stem cell like couldn't move, and they move slower, and also they may block by by the growth of I'm not sure, yeah, but just like they couldn't go to the wound part effectively and efficiently. So and also for di for diabetic person, because the stem cell need to focus on like healing
Yeah.
yeah the diabetes for diabetic, the body need to focus on the disease from the chronic disease, and so that uh, less of the stem cell can really help on other part. Yeah, and uh, yeah, and also here we actually know that if you have some chronic disease, it also can like uh waste, or it can like consume stem cell. So lesser stem cell can distribute it to other part.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's my summary.
Yeah, and there's a part I would like to discuss a little, which is the alcohol one, and then the research about the drinking monkey, which is line 229. Yeah, and for here I saw that actually they found that just like we said, there are more stem cells in those drinking monkeys' circulatory system. But also there is a part which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you are in, if you are on line 229, which is the sixth line, the fifth and the sixth line, yeah, is here. They say that think of this as inebriated stem cells that have difficulty walking a straight line. So it means that even though there could be more stem cells in their body, but all these stem cells is like they are drunken. They couldn't walk straight line. They couldn't work. They couldn't work properly for the body. Is it?
Yeah, yeah. So maybe they couldn't target the wounds. Yeah, because in this reading section we actually know that how stem cells go to the wounds part,
Mm.
damaged part, and then they kind of like stick on the wound.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can we imagine if the stem cell cannot aim cannot aim correctly, so
Mm.
it stick on the unwound part, so the effectiveness is not there.
Yeah. Wasted, right? And then also something like the the stem cells once is just now you say consume. We also have a part which says that the stem cells once being something like being core to the part, maybe to repair or what, and then they after they have done their work, maybe like a few days they will disappear, right?
Mm.
Yeah, so and then it says that it is a mystery. They don't really know where the stem cells gone, and then maybe they die or they become invisible, or they maybe they change it themselves and then become other things. Yep.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah, I think that's all for mine.
I also finished my talking.
Mm.
So that's all for our today conversations. How did you feel? Did you enjoy the conversation? Please tell us what you think of our conversation. And we are not native speakers. If you found any vocabulary mistake we make, please also comment to let us know, because we want to learn more and improve ourselves. Remember to like, subscribe to us. Thanks for watching. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.